Hey guys, it's Cherissa. Welcome to or back to my channel, and welcome back to my back to school series. In today's video, I will be sharing with you some of my tips to be a successful student during the 2020-2021 school year. So let's get right into it. Now I know the school year is going to be different for everyone. Some people might be taking in-person classes, all online classes, or a mixture of both. I hope my tips will help you for any kind of educational setting that you might be in. Believe it or not, I was not always a successful student. My freshman and sophomore year of high school is very concerning. I cannot believe how badly I performed. My first tip is ask questions during class or visit your professor after class or during office hours. If you are not understanding the material that your professor is lecturing, please raise your hand and ask for more clarification. If you're a shy person like me, that is okay. Write down your question and ask your professor later. If you are brave enough to raise your hand during lecture, odds are someone else might have the same question as you or is also confused on the material. Tip number 2, don't be afraid to ask for help. If you need additional help, please ask your classmate or your professor. They will be happy to help you. Your professor also might thank you for coming and asking for help. Lots of people do not visit the professors during office hours or ask for clarification, so they will really appreciate you asking for help and even notice that you are trying to do well in the class. Some colleges have a tutoring center where you can go for help for more popular subjects like science and math. Please take advantage of this, especially if your school offers free tutoring. Tip number 3, make a friend or two in class. College is kind of a weird place. You don't really associate with people in class unless maybe you've been in the same cohort for a couple of semesters, then you start to get to know one another. But you actually don't know everyone's name in the class, even if your professor takes attendance. Having a friend or two in class is very helpful, especially if you miss class. You're able to ask them what happened in class and if they can share their notes from the lecture. If you need help with an assignment, you can also ask your friend or two for help, and maybe even work together or study together for an exam in that particular class. My next tip is to download Grammarly and a text-to-speech function on your computer. This is very important, especially when it comes to essays. I feel like in college you write a lot of papers. Well, maybe that's just me because I'm a liberal arts major, but I write lots of papers. I probably write at least 1 or 2 a week for my majors. Grammarly will check your paper for spelling and grammatical errors. Grammarly even offers tips on how to make your paper sound more professional. You can download the free version. I think that works well. I personally don't see a benefit to Grammarly Premium. I have Grammarly Premium. Honestly, I think it's just a waste of money. Yes, there are some cool additional features, but it's not worth the cost, and you can get the same features with the free Grammarly. When it comes to text-to-speech, download this on your browser. You can easily highlight a paragraph and have your computer read it out loud to you. This way, you will be able to catch any errors that might be in your writing that you might have not caught because you read it so many times, and it will sound different when another voice is reading it. My next tip is for when you're studying. Pretend to be teaching the subject material. I find that this way helps me focus and I learn the material better. You can even do this in a study group. For example, if you're in a study group with 4 people and you have an exam over 4 chapters, each of you can focus on 1 chapter and gather all the important information for this chapter and present it to everyone. Next, do not procrastinate. This is like a no-brainer. Just don't do it. Do your homework as soon as you're done with class or as soon as you get home from an after-school activity like sports or a club meeting. Do not watch 1 episode on Netflix because we all know that turns into 2 or 3 or 4 episodes. So don't do it. Also, please don't try to take a nap after school. It's only going to cut into your sleep schedule and make you more tired. Just start your homework as soon as you get home and use Netflix as a reward for completing your homework. Next, be organized. Keep your study space neat and keep all the materials needed for each class together. You can even pack your bag the night before as well as pick out your outfit This way you do not forget anything, especially if you have an assignment due that you cannot forget. Also, use a planner to plan out all your assignments and when your upcoming exams are. This will be useful to you because if you have a dinner at 7 p.m. on Wednesday but an exam at 8 a.m. on Thursday, you will be able to know that you need to leave the dinner early or cannot stay out as late. And finally, keep all your work in one place. If you do homework on your desk, keep all your work near your desk. Don't have your math binder under your bed or your English folder like all the way on the other side of the room. That's so stressful. That's so super disorganized. Next, do not cram. You need to be studying for exams over a period of time rather than a day or two. This goes for essays as well. Research, write, and edit your essay over a week rather than over a day. If you have questions regarding your exam or paper, your professor is probably not going to answer you the night before. Your professor will probably answer you a couple days before an assignment is due. Next, let's talk about some note-taking. I am not going to recommend a note-taking tip for everyone to use because everyone is different. All I can say is you know yourself and you know the note-taking strategy that helps you learn the material the most. For example, if you get distracted while taking notes digitally, a lockdown browser might be beneficial to you, or writing your notes by hand. There's a lot of stuff that professors will lecture to you all the time about how writing your notes helps you remember it more, but that doesn't work for everyone. For example, if you broke your hand, you cannot write notes, you're going to have to type it. If your arm's broken or if you're a slow writer, then obviously handwriting your notes isn't the best option for you. Everyone is different. Find the note-taking method that works for you. Whatever note-taking method you decide, make sure your notes are clean and organized. Also, do not write your notes word for word from the lecture. Use your own words. This way you'll be able to understand it better. Next, find your study space. This could be the desk in your room, a coffee shop, the library, or the common room in your dormitory. If you're more likely to fall asleep in your room while studying, maybe studying in your room is not the best idea and you might need to go to the coffee shop or the common room. If you need pure silence while studying, then a coffee shop is not the best option for you. Next, plan your homework routine. Do the homework that is the hardest or is going to take you the longest first. This way you can get it out the way. Do not start with the easiest stuff because you're more likely to start procrastinating on the hardest assignment or the assignment that's going to take you the longest. Next, make flashcards. This is especially important for subjects that have a lot of vocabulary. Flashcards will help with memorization as well as learning the material. Remember, memorization isn't always learning the material. Take a practice test. These are easy to take. You can find some online, on Quizlet, or even use some old quizzes. Taking a practice test at the beginning of your review for an exam will help you know the areas that you need to focus on. Next, this is very important. Keep up with your syllabus. I don't know why people throw this away. In college, the syllabus is a lifesaver and it's also your guidance to the course. Most professors probably will not remind you of homework or upcoming assignment and worst case scenario, even an exam. Keep up with your syllabus, refer to it frequently. Here's a suggestion. Use a planner at the beginning of the semester and write down all the important due dates of homework, assignments, and exams. Next, develop time management skills. College is a lot different than high school. You have a lot of free time and there's also no one nagging you to do your homework or remind you to study for an exam. Your professors also probably will not care if you do the homework or if you show up to class. Make sure you read your syllabus about your particular professor's attendance policy, because at my school, some professors have a 3-strike policy. If you miss 3 classes, your grade drops a whole letter grade. You're going to have to learn to balance to be a successful student. This means you're going to have to pass up on that party to study or get up for your 8 a.m. Next, find a study method that works for you. Everyone learns and studies differently. So again, I cannot recommend a study method that will work for everyone. You know yourself. If flashcards aren't your thing, that is okay. Maybe note-taking is. Maybe you can't just read your textbook and understand and remember all the information. maybe you have to take breaks at the end of each paragraph and write a little summary. During the first weeks of the semester, you can experiment with different study methods and find one that works for you. Next, attend class. I don't know why I should even have to mention this, but some people just don't go to class. If you're in college and you're skipping class, please remember that is very expensive. If you skip one class, it could be like $400. Like, my mother would not be happy if I skipped a class that cost $400 just for that day. Classes in college just meet at bizarre times and days. For example, you might have a Monday, Wednesday, Friday class, a Tuesday, Thursday class, or a class that only meets Monday, Wednesday, or a class that only meets Thursday, or a class that only meets Wednesday. But if you skip class in college, you might be missing out on a whole chapter or two. So don't do it. Next, take breaks while studying. This is kind of similar to cramming, but you do need to take some breaks when you're studying. Your brain is just not going to continue to function the same at the end of a 3-hour study session as it did at the beginning of that study session. Some methods that I like to use is 50 minutes of studying with a 5 to 10 minute break, or 2 hours of studying with a 20 to 30 minute break. Next, and my favorite, is set study plans and study goals every day. When you wake up in the morning, make a to-do list of everything that you need to get done and set goals for studying. For example, maybe you want to study 5 hours that day or finish that essay for English. Next, do all your homework, be on top of your work. Trust me, this adds up and you need to start now. If you skip out on homework at the beginning of the semester because you want to go out and party, just wait till week 5, week 6 hits. There's a lot of reading you're going to need to catch up on. Next, remove all distractions. Yes, I am talking about that cell phone. Oh my goodness, that is like the biggest distraction. Turn it off when you're studying and put it in your desk. Put it out of sight, put it out of reach, so you're not tempted to touch it. If you're writing an essay and you easily get distracted by Netflix, consider downloading a lockdown browser where you cannot go on Netflix for a certain period of time. Sometimes your friends might be a distraction. Say you're in the common room with all your friends studying, and you guys are really just talking the whole time, you might need to remove yourself from that situation and go to a different common room or back to your room and study. Before I end off this video, I want to talk about your options on schooling for the fall 2020 semester. Some universities might give you a choice between taking a gap semester, doing online classes, or returning to campus in-person classes. I cannot tell you what the best option for you is, but you know yourself. For example, if you are immunocompromised or have any underlying health issues, or if you have a family member who does, returning to on-campus in-person classes might not be the best option for you. If you're someone who gets easily distracted, using the computer all day, sitting in your room all day, or even your family members distracting you, maybe online classes at home isn't the best option for you. Now, I'm not going to recommend a leave of absence or a gap semester. There's just nothing to do. For example, I could understand if you wanted to take a gap semester and travel around Europe. Europe is not letting Americans in their country right now. No hate to them, you know, we're not doing so well over here, so it makes sense. Taking a gap semester is just going to put you behind. There is nothing to do. You might not be able to get a job because places are closed, or they're not hiring, or they have too many staff. So just think about it before you decide what you are going to do. I am personally returning to campus. It is the best option for me. My school does have a lot of safety measures in place. They're testing us when everyone first arrives and like weekly, and it's also random as well. You know, they also offered single rooms to everyone. We're not going to be allowed to visit people in other dorms, so there are some restrictions that, you know, people aren't happy with, but I learn better in person. I don't like looking at the computer all day, and I'm also an only child, so I do miss my social interaction with my friends. And finally, I want to say anyone can be a successful student. In high school, I was not the best student. I had a lot of difficulties freshman and sophomore year. Basically, in high school, I was like a straight C student, but like in college, I'm like a straight A student. So like, it is possible to become a successful student. This might be the time to turn your life around and achieve those goals. You know, like, I couldn't read. I was reading at a 3rd grade reading level in 10th grade. Yeah, so like 7th grade levels behind. My 9th grade honors world history teacher noticed it. Basically, he asked me a question that was on the test that I got wrong, and I answered it completely. Like, I just like couldn't read the question. I would study for hours, and my friends would study for like an hour or two. I would be up to like 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning reviewing, studying, finishing up homework just to get a C or a D, and sometimes like an F. Like, sometimes I would do better if I didn't study. School used to be very hard for me, and I never ever thought I would be at Tulane, but Tulane did see my improvement, and clearly, like, I'm doing very well at Tulane. Basically, I got tested for a learning disability. I have some dyslexia. I've always had ADD, but that wasn't like important, but it was really the dyslexia. Like, I will read something and I will forget what I read. I got some accommodations like small group testing and someone reading my test to me and extended time. Then my grades started improving so much. Like, I went from a straight C to a straight A student, and all I needed was to get tested and get some accommodation and a little help. So anyone can be a successful student. If you have a learning disability or you suspect that, please get tested, get help. You will thank yourself later. Those are my tips on how to be a successful student in the 2020-21 school year. If you have some other tips that I didn't mention, please leave them in the comments down below. I'm sure other students would love to hear them. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked this video, feel free to leave it a huge thumbs up, and don't forget to leave a comment and subscribe down below. Make sure you subscribe for more college and back to school videos. Thank you guys so much again for watching this video. I hope you all have an amazing day. Remember to stay safe and wear a mask, and I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Bye bye!